Hello, my name's Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I've recently been through a divorce. Thanks for coming back to my channel. Today I'd like to discuss something I've been thinking about a little bit lately, and that is the 2-year anniversary of when my ex-wife requested a divorce. So, February 14th, 2020, my ex-wife told me that she wanted a divorce. We'd had a couple very difficult years prior to that, and without going too much into the story, that was ultimately when she told me. It was Valentine's Day. Now, that wasn't intentional. That's just kind of how things worked out. And if I'm really honest, I had a sense that she was wanting one. And I had been afraid to ask the question. And so I did. I asked her if she wanted a divorce, and she said yes. And so I don't put some people, as I've told a few people in the past, that, the date that she asked for the divorce, some people have thought that was kind of cruel of her, but that really wasn't her. That's when I kind of got the guts to ask the question. So it wasn't until August of 2021 when our divorce went through. So pretty much 18 months later is when the divorce finally went through. And there was a lot that happened, obviously, in between those, during that 18 months, including COVID, which made everything a little bit more challenging than it already was. But I remember that first night, laying in bed and just aching inside, just hurting horribly. I remember, given the troubles that we'd already had, laying in bed and just praying and saying, Heavenly Father, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I really don't. I don't know if I can. And I know this life is supposed to be hard, but like this hard, kind of thinking along those lines. And as I continued to meet with counseling, and as I kind of had a small support group that I trusted, and as I tried to do the things that I knew I needed to do to heal. And there were things that I discovered along the way, but I'd already been given some tools in counseling. As I began to use those tools, I can tell you that 2 years later, my life isn't painful anymore. Now, is it perfect? No. There's still challenges that are caused by the divorce you have to deal with. But now I look at my life with hope. I see, I've been divorced for 6 months now. My divorce was, by the time it happened, it was kind of a weight off my shoulders. 18 months, you feel like there's a big period of time in there. You feel like you're in limbo. And that limbo is no fun at all. You want to move on, but you can't really move on. And so the only thing I really could do was focus on trying to heal and be patient and do the right thing. But I look at myself 2 years ago and all that pain, and you get those weird thoughts during it all. When you find out your spouse wants a divorce, you start questioning your self-worth. There's a lot of fear. What am I going to do? I've come to rely on my spouse for certain things. You've split up so much. Your life has been with each other for so long. There's certain tasks that you've split up. There's certain kind of roles within the marriage that you play. And now all of that has to be redefined. And there's fear in that. There's fear of, will love ever find its way to me again? You think, will I ever find, I remember thinking at some point, because I didn't want the divorce, I remember thinking, will I ever find someone as awesome as her again? I remember thinking that too. But as you go through the healing process, you start to realize that, I started to realize, I had a lot more value than I was giving myself credit for. I sometimes you wonder, like, maybe I'm just a screw up. Maybe I don't deserve love. Those thoughts hit you, especially very early on in the divorce process. Now I know better. I know better. And that isn't arrogance at all. That is confidence that comes from doing the work to heal, from putting time into self-care. I mean, if I'm really honest, I'm at a healthier place mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually than I have been in at least 5 years. At least 5 years. I'm in a much better place. Now, I'm not in a place where I'm ready to get married or anything like that. I don't feel like that. But overall, I'm in a much, much better place than I was. Now, that isn't to say that I don't feel sad from time to time. Sometimes, you see a TV show, or there's a restaurant we used to go to, or, maybe there's an inside joke that something happens that reminds me of this inside joke, and, that's not there anymore. And unfortunately, my wife and I, my ex-wife and I, it's a little contentious between the two of us, and I hope someday that changes. And maybe that won't happen in this life, maybe it will. But for now, I've just had to let go of all of that. I work hard to maintain the good memories. I work hard to not blow things up too much in my mind. And I really, like I've made videos on before, I've really worked on, self-care, focusing on the things that I can control and letting go of the things that I can't control. I've just had to learn in many ways to just trust the Lord. And in that process, healing has come. And when that healing comes, there's hope. And there's an excitement for the future because I realize that it's bright. I have this opportunity when the divorce went through to start over, to sit down and think, okay, like I can do, I have children, so I have responsibilities that are always going to be with me now. But I have an opportunity to kind of make my life what I want it to be. And that's an awesome thing, And I think it's like Heavenly Father's kind of given me a canvas, and I get to paint it now. Kind of not start completely over, but start over. And that's a gift, and did it come at a very painful cost? Absolutely. It absolutely did. And like I said, sometimes I still feel a little sad, but now I've learned how to deal with those emotions. I've learned how to not just, push emotions away, but to actually deal with them and to process them and to let them do the work they need to do and then move on. So yeah, sometimes I do feel a little bit sad, but that's just part of the process of healing, and it's okay. So if you are early on in your divorce process, if you're still in that, especially in that phase where you're just depressed, you're questioning yourself, you're wondering if, life's ever going to be good again. I mean, even sometimes I remember feeling like, is this pain ever going to end? But if you're in that stage, there's hope. And I know 2 years, I'm 2 years later, saying this. I know that seems like such a long time, but really it isn't. But just hold on and do the things that are right. And like I said, healing comes, and you find that Heavenly Father has a way of making good things out of bad things. He has a way of teaching lessons that you won't learn any other way. And those lessons are so valuable that I can't say that I'm grateful for the divorce. That isn't the right way. That's not how I think about it. But I can say that I'm grateful for what the Lord has been able to teach me through this process. And I don't know how else I would have learned these lessons. Maybe I would have. But what I do know is I learned them through this process. They are lessons that I hold tight to me and I'll carry with me forever. And I'm grateful for the Lord's hand in that. 2 years later, my kids overall have adjusted pretty well to the divorce. Still got a couple kids that do counseling. But all in all, it has its bumps in the road, and I try to keep my eye out for that and help them. And I'm sure there's going to be other bumps in the road for years to come. But I have hope for them too. Children are resilient. So if you're early on in this process, or even maybe halfway through this process of getting a divorce, just know that there is hope, that there's light, that there is, another side of this when it's over. And it's a lot better. It gets a lot better. Well, my name is Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And while I'm a member of this church, this channel is not endorsed by it. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just someone who's learned some lessons along the way. I hope this helps. Thanks for coming to my channel.